Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how my current UI looks on patch 3.3.5 and walk you through how to install it. Honestly, I believe this is the best Wrath of the Lich King private server UI package out there. You won't find a better one. All the hours you'll see here are available to my subscribers, and you can find more info on how to get them in my Discord. I will leave the link in the description. Before we even start downloading add-ons, I highly recommend using an HD client and installing the Awesome Lich King patch. The HD client is optional but very recommended. The Awesome Lich King patch is required. Some of my WeakAuras and add-ons depend on it to work correctly. This patch adds additional API functions for working with nameplates. It's not considered third-party software and is fully allowed on servers like Warmain. I'm not going to reinstall my client right now, but I have a full step-by-step guide in my Discord. Check the 3.3.5 channel and follow the instructions there carefully. So, what's the difference between the HD client and the regular one? Here are the main improvements I love. High definition models and textures. A built-in launcher where you can save server and account info, no more typing it every time. Smoother performance and better FPS, especially in raids. If you are doing a clean install, you are good to go. But if you already had add-ins installed before, I strongly recommend cleaning your WTF folder to avoid bugs with saved profiles and add-in settings. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do it without losing your keybinds, macros, or main game settings. Step 1. Make a backup copy of your WTF folder, just in case you need to recover something later. Step 2. Go to the WTF folder and open it. You'll see Config WTF. This has your graphics and sound settings. Don't touch it. Account folder. Open this. Inside you'll see folders for every account you've ever logged into. Find the account you are going to use for this UI setup, open it. Inside you'll see character name folders and saved variables folder. Delete everything inside saved variables. These are your global add-in settings and profiles, which are shared across the account. Next, go into each character folder. They also have their own saved variables folder. Delete everything inside these too. These files store character-specific add-ins data. Leave everything else intact. Keybinds, macros, and other files stay as they are. I'll clean it up for 2 characters as an example, but you can repeat this same process for all of your characters. Once you've got the HD client and the Awesome Lich King patch set up, we can move on to installing the required add-ins. I've spent years working with 3.3.5, and these add-ins are the result of a lot of experience and testing. In my Discord, you'll find a link to download a few zip files. The main add-in spec. Second, the Merfin UI plugin, which helps install profiles. And third, a custom shared media library called Merfin Plus, which is needed for some interface and WeakAuras elements. It includes textures, fonts, sounds, and extra functionality. Download all free, then extract them into your interface settings folder. The last 2 archives are password protected. You'll find the password at the top of the thread under a spoiler. Make sure to copy it without spaces. Double-clicking might accidentally include a space at the end, which can mess things up. We are all set. Let's log into the game now. Before entering the world, make sure all add-ins are enabled and don't forget to check load out-of-date add-ins. On your very first login, everything might look like a total mess. Don't panic, we are going to fix it step by step. As soon as you log in, LVI will launch its default setup. We won't be using it, we'll run our own custom installer instead. But LVI requires you to go through its setup before anything else. So just click continue at each step and then hit finish to reload the UI. After the reload, you'll see the Merfin UI installer pop up. This is where we'll properly set up everything. Go through each step by clicking the install buttons. Here is a breakdown of each step. Account settings. This sets up CVRs, console variables that control a lot of interface behavior. Things like show your own name, show combat text, minor add-on tweaks that didn't need a separate step. Chat settings. This configures your chat windows, text size, tab layout, and channel separation. For example, guild chat and global channels like world or general will go into separate tabs, so your main chat stays clean. LVI profiles. This is the most important step. The whole UI is built around LVI. Almost everything you see, action bars, unit frames, minimap, etc. is handled here. Pick the profile based on your current spec. I'll show how to set up multiply profile on the same character later. I'm currently on Holy Paladin, so I'll go with the healer profile. You'll see two variations, healer H, which means horizontal party frames placed at the bottom middle, growing sideways like raid frames, and healer V, which means vertical party frames, growing upward and downward. I personally prefer the vertical layout, but it's totally up to you. Action bar visibility. Here you choose how your action bars behave. Show always if you want them visible all the time. Show mouse over hides the bars and shows them only when you hover over them. This is what I use. And you can always change this later in the Merfin UI plugin settings or even rerun the installer. Combat text. This is about how damage numbers appear on your screen. If you like the default Blizzard flaunting text in the center, choose Blizzard combat text. I personally prefer a minimalist setup, so I use XD. It's a lightweight add-on that shows all combat info in a small window, usually near my target frame. Boss mods. For patch 3.3.5, the best option is DBM by Zidras, especially for Warmain. Later, I'll give a full raid setup WeakAuras, but for now, this is all we need. Damage meter. Some people like details, but on 3.3.5 it's not well optimized and might cause FPS drops. That's why I recommend the newer version of SCADA. It's lightweight and works great. Color theme. You can choose between a light or dark color theme for the UI. Totally personal preference, I'm going with the dark theme this time. Once you've finished all the steps, click Finished. Your UI will reload and everything should be in place and ready to go. We are almost done, pretty simple so far, right? The last part we need to set up is WeakAuras. Now, I know that some content creators bundle their WeakAuras directly into their UI installers to make it more user-friendly, but personally I prefer uploading them separately on Wago.io. Why? Because I update my auras very often, sometimes even daily, and re-uploading the whole installer every time would be a nightmare. So where to get the WeakAuras? Super easy, just go to my Discord, open 3.3.5 section, scroll down to the WeakAuras section and you'll find all the links there. What to import? You need to import the following groups. Core WeakAura, it contains base functionality for all classes and some other general auras. General auras, cooldowns, trinkets, defensive abilities, equipped items, etc. Reminders for buffs, missing flasks, enchants, etc. At the time I'm recording this video, WeakAuras are not fully updated yet and may have some bugs, so skip this for now. Once you've imported these three, go ahead and import your class panel. It includes class-specific utilities, additional trackers, and visuals. The passwords for WeakAuras can also be found at the top of the message. Make sure not to copy any extra spaces. If you are new, don't worry, just open the link, enter the password, click copy, and then paste the copied string into WeakAuras, like I'm showing right now. Also, sometimes when you try to open multiple WeakAuras at once, the password might not work. That's a known issue with the WAGO website. Just give it a bit of time, refresh the page, and it should let you in. If it still doesn't work, contact me ASAP and we'll get it sorted. That's it. The installation is now complete. You can go ahead and check your keybinds, macros, maybe hit a training dummy and test everything out. Also, if you don't like the default positions of some WeakAuras groups, don't worry, I'll show you how to move them around a bit later, closer to the end of this video. Super easy stuff, just stay tuned. Now let's set up my second spec, which is retribution and currently set as my primary talents. To do this properly, we'll need to install additional profiles in the add-ons that support dual spec profiling. This allows the UI to automatically switch layouts when you change specs. The two add-ons that support these are LVI and XCD. Unfortunately, DBM doesn't support dual spec profiles. So if you are playing, for example, DPS plus healer or tank plus healer on the same character, just pick one DBM profile that works for both. The settings are mostly the same, the only difference is frame positioning. To install profiles for your second spec, you have two options. Type the command /Merfin UI install in the chat, or open the LVI settings, go to Merfin UI plugin and click the UI install button. Once the installer is open again, go to the LVI step and install the profile for your second spec, in this case DPS. Then do the same in the XCD step. Install the DPS version of the combat text layout. Now let's make sure the profiles switch automatically when you change spec. Open LVI settings, go to the Profiles tab, check Enable Dual Profile. Then choose the correct profile for your secondary spec. XCD, if you are using it, type /XCD to open settings, enable dual spec profile, then pick the profile for your second spec. And that's it. Now, whenever you switch specs, LVI and XCD will automatically switch to the appropriate layout, and WeakAuras will also load and unload specific hours groups based on your current spec and talents. Super clean, super efficient. Alright, let's say you've made some changes to your LVI layout, maybe tweaked a few things to your liking, and now you want to use this updated profile on another character on the same account. So, how do you do that properly? First, create a new profile in LVI and copy your current settings into it. Why is this important? Because when you log in on a new character and run the Merfin UI installer, it will override the existing Merfin UI profile with the default one. That means any custom changes you made would be lost. So instead, create a new profile, copy the settings from the original Merfin UI profile, make your edits in the new one, and this way you preserve your custom setup and can easily reuse it on other characters. Can't I just skip the LVI step on my other character and select the Merfin UI profile manually? Well, technically yes. you can just go to the Profiles tab and select Merfin UI. But here's the catch. The LVI step in the installer doesn't only import the profile, it also applies certain character-specific settings that aren't part of the profile system at all. So by skipping this step, you would be missing out on those additional settings. Alright, how to do it step by step. Open LVI settings, go to the Profiles tab, click New, and name your new profile. Call it whatever you want. Click Copy From and choose your original Merfin UI profile. Now, make any custom changes you want in this new profile. If you are using dual spec profiles, you can repeat this for the second one as well. Done! Now you can log in to your second character, run the installer again and select your custom profiles, and everything will carry over just the way you like it. Let's log into your second character now. The setup process is pretty much exactly the same. There is just one small difference. This time we skip importing the general hour groups like WeakAuras, general hours and reminders, since those are already installed and shared across the account. All you need to do here is import the appropriate class panel. In our case, it's a warrior. So here is the quick summary. Skip all the LVI installer steps on this character, reload the UI, go through the Merfin UI installer once again, install all the profiles on this specific character, then open LVI settings and set up the profiles manually. If you had previously created and edited custom profile, now the time to apply it. After a second reload, everything should be in place. Finally, don't forget to import the warrior class panel from Discord, and you are all set. Alright, now let's talk about how to move your WeakAuras class groups the right way. Let's say you don't want your LVI unit frames like player, target, pet, etc. to be stuck to the class WeakAuras group. By default, they are anchored to the power bar through a specific WeakAuras called frames mover. To detach them, just open WeakAuras core group, find and unload the aura called frames mover, and then make a reload. This aura is what links your player, target, pet, target, and focus frames to the class UI. So once it's unloaded, you can freely reposition your LVI frames. Also, all the groups inside the class panels are anchored together, and the final anchor point is the power bar. If you want to move the entire group of all auras, do it via the positioner WeakAuras, which has a custom options menu. You will find this aura inside the core WeakAuras group as well. Super simple, you know where to look. One more thing I forgot to mention earlier, this version of the UI supports both of the most common in-game resolutions, Full HD and Quad HD. So if you're adjusting WeakAuras and notice that the custom options tab has two variations, just make sure you're selecting the one that matches your resolution. If you are running a widescreen setup, you are most likely using the Quad HD profile. Choosing the correct category ensures everything is positioned and scaled properly. Of course, I can't cover every possible question in just one video. Keep in mind, these WeakAuras are mostly designed to work within my UI profile, so if you're trying to adjust them for a completely different setup, some things might not behave as expected. But if you ever get stuck or want to change something and aren't sure how, don't hesitate to ask for help. Hop into the Discord, drop your question, either I or someone from the community will gladly help you out. That's it, folks. Now you are fully equipped with what I believe is the best possible UI for the Wrath private scene. If you followed all the steps, you should have a clean, responsive, and highly functional interface, which was crafted for both casual and competitive gameplay. If you need help, updates, or just wanna hang out, make sure to join the Discord if you haven't yet. And I mean, if you watch this video, you're already in my Discord most likely. I left the link into the description. That's where I post updates, new WeakAuras, raid packs, and more, and not only for Wrath Private, but also for Cataclysm Classic, for the Retail, for Mists of Pandaria Classic, etc, etc, etc. Thanks for watching and enjoy your new UI.